Hi Falcons, this is Mrs. Lamb, and today we're looking at lesson 10. Comparing the different options you have when you solve an equation. This is on page 270 in your workbook. So the first thing is our warm-up. I want you to solve the following equations for x. And pause the video and just do that in a few seconds and then come back. Okay, as you were looking at these, hopefully you noticed that each time what we needed to do was multiply by 10. 100 times 10 would be 1,000. 500 times 10 is 5,000. 300ths times 10 would be 3/10. You just move your decimal to the right. Same thing, 0.72 times 10 would be 7.2. So we needed to make x minus 3 equal to 10. And how do you do that? Well, x would have to be 13. So in each case here, to be 10, x had to be 13. Except in the last case, what plus 2 would give me 10? Well, then in that case, x had to be 8. So hopefully you're starting to notice some of those shortcuts and looking at the groupings of your numbers. Turn the page. And we're going to compare some different methods. 3 students each attempted to solve the equation 2 times x minus 9 equals 10, but they all got different solutions. So we're going to compare and look at each one. In Noah's method, Noah multiplied 2. He looked at 2 times the quantity x minus 9 equals 10, and he said, oh, there's a subtracting 9 here. I'm going to undo that by adding 9. Well, that's a good idea, but we cannot, the whole thing in the parentheses is a quantity. You can't just take a piece out of the parenthesis. So, in this case, Noah needed to distribute. Noah forgot to distribute. Anytime I see a number outside of a parenthesis, it means it needs to be distributed to each item inside the parenthesis. So then we can look at Elena. Elena comes by and she says, well, 2 times x minus 9 equals 10. I need to distribute. So she takes 2 times x to get 2x and 2 times 9 to get 18. So now we have 2x minus 18 equals 10. And she says, oh, I'm going to subtract another 18. Well, what did she do? She should have added instead of subtracting. So Elena should have added to undo subtraction. Okay, remember we're undoing the operation that we have. And then let's look down at Andre's method. Andre looks at this and he says, okay, we got to distribute. 2x minus 18 equals 10. And then to undo subtraction, I'm going to add 18 to both sides. So 2x is 28. And then he divides by 2 and gets x equals 14. Looks like Andre did everything right, but let's check that answer and see. We're going to put 14 inside for x. 14 take away 9 is 5. And 2 times 5 is 10. So yes, Andre found the correct solution. Okay, turn the page. We are doing solution pathways. So now we know there's more than one way you can solve a solution. Sometimes when we have a number in front of a parenthesis, we may choose to divide first to eliminate that number. Sometimes you can choose to distribute first instead of dividing. And we've done problems both ways in previous assignments. But let's take a look and see how we can decide which one we should use. When I look at this, I say, well, if I divide, I can divide 6,000 by 2,000 quite easily. So I'm going to go that route. So I'm going to divide each side by 2,000. And you get x minus 3/100 is 3,000. Now what would you do next? You would just add 0.03 This is really here to both sides. And we end up with x equals 3000.03. And if we take 3000.03 and subtract 0.03, we end up with 3000 times 2000 would be 6000. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just 3, not 3000. Say, Mrs. Lamb, you are crazy. When I look at this, 6,000 divided by 2,000 is only 3, so our answer is 3.03. And if I take 3.03 and subtract 0.03, I end up with 3. And 3 times 2,000 equals 6,000. See, by going back and substituting my answer in, I could see if I was correct or not. And it quickly told me that 3,000 would not be the correct answer, so I knew I had to go back and change something. Okay, so on this next one, I look at it and I go, oh, 3.5 divided by 2, that's not as easy. So this time I'm going to choose to distribute. So I'm taking 2 times x, which is 2x, 2 times 1, 2.25, which would be 2.5, and that is 3.5. So now I can undo each operation. We're going to subtract 2.5 from each side. And I have 2x equals 1. And then you would divide by 2, and x equals 1/2, or 0.5. However you want to write it, makes no difference. Okay, so if I take 0.5 and add it to 1.25, you get 1.75, and take that times 2, and yes, you do get 3.5. Okay, so 2 different ways of solving. You kind of have to look and decide which one's going to work best for the problem you have. Look at number 3, choose a method, and work it out, and then we'll come back and check. Okay, on this one, I decided again that instead of multiplying by the reciprocal, which is what you would do here, it's going to give me 16/3. I would rather multiply 1/4 times 4 and get 1. So in this case, I'm going to distribute. 1/4 times 4 is 1. 1/4 times x is 1/4 x, and that equals 4/3. So again, you're going to get rid of the 1 by subtracting. 4/3 minus 1, or 3/3, would be 1/3. And over here I have 1/4 x equals 1/3. So again, to solve, undo it by multiplying by the reciprocal. So we multiply by 4, and I get x is 4/3. So whichever method you choose, you would have still gotten this answer. This may just be the quickest or the easiest route to do that. Okay, number 4. If I look at it, it doesn't seem very easy to me to divide -3 by 10. So I'm just going to go ahead, although I could, it wouldn't be too bad because we're talking 0.3 then, but so let's just do it that way. Let's do this one both ways and see which one's easier. If I divide both sides by -10, then I'm going to have x minus 1.7 equals a negative divided by a negative is going to be a positive 3/10, which is 0.3. And then to solve for x, you're just going to undo by adding 1.7 to both sides, and x equals 2. Okay, if I try it the other way, I'm going to distribute. -10 times x is -10x. -10 times a negative is going to be positive, and that would be 17. And then that is going to equal -3. So now I would add 17, or subtract 17 from both sides. And I have negative 10x equals negative 3 minus 17 is negative 20. If I divide by negative 10, I'm going to get x equals 2. So same answer, two different ways. You can see which one seems easier to you. This one seemed a little shorter, a little bit of a shortcut there. All right, so I think we've done enough of those that you can see there's two different ways. You can choose which way you would like to solve problems of that manner. So today what you're going to do is practice, lesson 10 practice in your workbook. I believe there are 5 questions. So let's do numbers 1 through 5 in the workbook. This is on page, no, I don't have the page number, sorry about that. But it's somewhere near 273, 274, I would say. And you're going to do numbers 1 through 5. All right. Have a good day, Falcons.